Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another day in the markets. Not gonna lie, stuff is getting absolutely destroyed today, and my book is up in P&L, so I'll take that. It's not very often that I am like flat risk. And usually on down days, you can expect me to be having a bad day. So it's quite nice to actually have prepared for this a bit better and be a better risk. Sorry, just updating. I think there was a bit of background noise there. Hopefully this is a bit better, but my audio might be lower here. So please let me know if it's too low. Let me just see if I can pull up the comments. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, sweet. Let me know. If this is too quiet, let me know. I can increase it, but I just was getting a bit of background noise there. Like my window on this side is open, so every time a plane flies over or something happens outside, then it creates a lot of background noise. So I have to turn my mic down. Maybe turn it up a little bit. So yeah, it's a grim day for equities. Let's have a look. Let's bring up some charts. We're actually off the lows a little bit, but this is where we are now on the old NASDAQ. Let's pull up a year-to-date chart. Yeah, there we go. Look, the very first show I did on this, I said I was cautious on stocks, which was, when was it? About there, Monday the 20th. We've had a pretty good run on things since I started doing Rekt Mkts, actually. We had a good call on stocks because this is where we said we were cautious. We're down to here. We had a good call on PONS. 20th of July is what, here. So that's done well. I guess it's just those two things, really, isn't it? I'm not sure what else I sold. I owned CashCat at the beginning, and we sold it. Where did we sell that? Around 60 mil, 50 mil market cap. So yeah, it's been a good run. I think this format, because everyone's watching what I'm doing, helps me be a bit more disciplined. Because otherwise I would for sure I think I would have done more stupid shit. Oh, Google was the other one. We just did well on Google calls. Actually made good money on that one. So yeah, I think this format of everyone seeing my trades and me talking about it has made me be a bit more disciplined, and that was the thing that I was lacking. So let's talk about what's going on in markets. Look, this is the thing that I keep watching. I've been watching. It's been fucking grim for the KOSPI. This is the Korean stock market, right? It's like, think about the S&P 500 or FTSE or whatever it is, in what country you're in. Insane parabolic run where this thing has done, at the highs like a 2.5x from year-to-date levels. And now it's down, 40% or so from the highs, with a pretty grim move today. It was down 11% today, and we've already seen headlines of tons of people getting liquidated. And originally I thought, well, all the liquidations are done now. That's a good dip to buy, and it was a good dip to buy because it rebounded. But the last few days of strength we had in US stocks, in the last few sessions, it never really translated to Korea. Like we'd have a good day for NASDAQ would be up 2%, and then I would wake up the next morning and see that the KOSPI ended up today up 1%, or maybe I think the best day it had was up 5%. And given this volatility, you'd expect, if it was really actually tracking NASDAQ, it should have been moving at a rate that was a beta much higher, like a beta of 2 or something like that. So it was clear to me that the Korean market was underperforming. And then, when we had a slightly weak day yesterday, these guys shat the bed. SK Hynix down 15%. Samsung, where's Samsung? I think this is Samsung. Or this might be KOSPI, I don't know. Yeah, Samsung down 14%. These guys report this week, by the way. SK reports tomorrow. I don't even really know what to think on that. I thought the last few times I said I think good earnings get sold, bad earnings could be a disaster, which is probably still the case. I mean, given this sell-off we've had now, there's an argument to say that if they do have really good earnings, maybe we can see a relief bounce. Maybe there's a lot of fear baked into this, but who knows, really? Is that enough to... I'll repeat what I said the last few times, and I'm mainly repeating it for myself so I don't get sucked into something. I think the overall memory weakness is due to fears of memory breakthrough, lowering costs, fears of CXMT getting more market share, and China. And these two things don't get solved. I think those are the main reasons why we're selling off and why we've been struggling the last few days and weeks. And those two things don't get solved by strong earnings. Strong earnings just tells you, here's what we've done so far. It's all been good. Everyone knows that. They give you guidance. Everyone knows that. The guidance could be better or worse than expected. If it's better than expected, sure, that's great. But it doesn't change. They're not factoring in, what if by the end of the year, someone's figured out how to use less memory, use substantially less memory, or possibly not even factoring in growth in market share of China. I'm not sure on that one, but these are the things that I think are potentially not factored into earnings, even if they're good earnings, and that's why I just still feel like any rally gets sold, and maybe you have a relief rally, but I think it gets sold. So I'm going to stay out of it, I think, for earnings. I'm not going to take a position before. And by the way, these earnings will affect the entire sector, the entire memory sector. Micron, SanDisk, Samsung, KIOXIA. And Samsung itself reports this week too. SanDisk, I think, reports next week. This is SanDisk. SanDisk has been absolutely crushed. Over 50% down from the high is mental. Look, it's lost some of these. I think this green line, is that the 100-day moving average? Yeah, 100-day moving average. It's lost that. I mean, it's just smashed through that, which I think is a bit dicey. And then, is it the 200-day, that this blue line? Yeah, it is. I guess it must be the 200-day moving average. So it's kind of approaching that, which is scary. So all of this stuff, I'm actually bullish on all of this stuff over the medium to long term, but just have to find the right levels to buy it at. I think we're not there yet. I don't think we're there yet. It's been tempting to add some of this stuff today. I did buy some things today, actually. I bought a bit of, what I did buy? I bought a bit of SpaceX today. Where is this in my... Actually managed to buy some at 107.5 and just above 108. This is also a disgusting chart. However, they report earnings on, I think, the 3rd of August, I believe. Here we go. It's there. What date is that? I think that's the 3rd. I don't know why it doesn't tell me the date, but it's kind of a dumb feature. Why would it not tell me the date? I think that's the 3rd, and then I think on the 5th they have... I think on the 5th they have... okay, actually that looks like the 4th. That's the 4th, and then I think on the 6th, then 2 days after the earnings date, they have the first unlocks. It's funny because on this one everyone's like, it's like crypto. I know how to play. high FTV, low float tokens, and it's like, cool, if you know how to play high FTV, low float tokens, you'll know that this shit always trends lower into unlocks, which is what it's done. But you'll also know that the right trade was to short it. But you'll also know that they tend to try and pump things into unlocks, and they probably had some visibility of earnings well in advance. They probably had some visibility of these earnings around here, right? This launched June. I don't know what period these numbers are for. I don't know if that's inclusive of June, but they probably have some idea of these numbers. So my guess is, if they're going to play the game here, you probably have really good earnings above what people think. They probably want to smash it as much as they can. Maybe there's some sort of announcement they can make that's bullish. I don't really know. I'm not like crazy familiar with this company. But those two things combined is what I would do, and I would try and pump it and create liquidity and create volume for it around the unlock in order to be able to sell it. So I've sort of been averaging down on this since the 115 area. I got the lowest print today at 107.5 or something like that. Maybe even got like the exact lows, I don't know. And I think I want to build a bigger position in this into earnings. Like maybe get up to, I think I own about $35,000 or $40,000 worth of it right now. So maybe try and triple that before earnings, and I'll probably look at some short calls as well before earnings for a punt. I tend to wait until, for those, it's better to wait until closer to the time, because otherwise you just get destroyed in theta every single day. But yeah, day before earnings, I'll probably look at some short calls. Hopefully the price still stays low before that. That would be ideal. And there's no science or fundamentals, or I'm taking a bet here, right? This is a bet. This is an absolute pure gamble. It's the exact same thing as the Google calls last week, and it was a bet that paid off, and I made good money on it. But it's a complete bet. I'm not, there's not a good reason other than a hunch for me to do this trade. So I'm viewing it as a bet, as a gamble. It's not really a trade. It's not an investment. I don't have any long-term view on SpaceX, really, for me. And I'm probably just going to look to flip it after earnings. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys posted in the Rekt Mkts Discord as well on ideas and stuff. But yeah, I managed to average down a bit of that. Bought some more of this. I wanted to get to 1,000 shares of this, which I've got to now. And this is a pretty grim chart. I'm not as bullish on Neoclouds as I am on memory, just because I don't know. I don't feel like they have as much of a moat. I do think Neoclouds maybe are potential acquisition targets, which you could consider these guys could potentially be. The other problem with Neoclouds is if Meta enters that space, this stuff gets destroyed. It already has kind of repriced on it. But the situational awareness guys own 20% of it, so this is they invested in that, I think, at a price equivalent of around $68. So I'm buying this below Leopold, and the main potential thing that could happen is, and I think there were some headlines on Anthropic entering Australia. If you have some sort of Anthropic agreement with these guys, then that could be quite a positive move for the stock. Now, they have to fund a ton of capex, right? And I think they have a lot of convertible debt, I believe. I can't remember the exact capital structure. So any capex that gets funded, I think, creates dilution for you as a shareholder, probably. And you just have to view and hope that it's positive EV. So it's not just like, it's definitely not a slam dunk trade, and I don't think I would buy it if Leopold wasn't in it. But it's just one of those where you feel like you might as well own some, and one day you might just see some fucking, crazy positive headline, and either it comes or it doesn't. I don't know, but this is down almost 50% from the highs, back at this support level area. It will move the AI market. I think there's a little kicker on it potentially. So I think I started buying a little bit too early, but that's why we DCA and we don't go all in. Started buying around here, and I added some more here. So I'm up to 1,000 shares on this, and I'm gonna just hold that. I think if it drops further down, maybe I'll add to it. But I kind of got to the position I want to, and I'll just mainly will be a set and forget unless I get bored of it, which is very possible. What else do I have in stocks? Let's see. Yeah, I really want to. So Micron and SanDisk are on the list to buy. I think Micron I would be targeting like a 650, 700 area. I have to say, when it dropped today to about 790 odd. That was very tempting to take a nibble there. But I think this pocket here, this 650 to 700 area, I think would look really compelling. I think that puts it at like a super low PE ratio. What you really want to look at on these memory names is price to book rather than PE. I think everyone's looking at forward PE, and it's like, man, this is so cheap. But these guys are not. The market is not pricing in 2027, right? Everyone knows 2027 is going to be insane for these guys. I feel like it's pricing in 2028 and beyond, and the uncertainty beyond that. Oh, Spacebar says turn volume up. Hopefully this is better. I need to, I need to get it up on this OBS thing. I'll have a look at how to improve it, but I'm on max right now from the mic, so hopefully this is better. What was I saying? Yeah, the memory stuff, I think you have to think about, or the market is thinking about, beyond 2027. It's so cyclical, and the fear is that we're at the top of the cycle. So beyond 2027, we don't really know, and that's where the uncertainty is. So I think, I see all these posts on X where it's like, oh, nah, this is at like a 6x forward PE ratio. This is crazy. This is the cheapest thing in tech. And then it's like, oh, no, it's at 5x. And it's like, yeah, man, like it's probably going to keep getting cheaper because that's not the metric people are buying off. People are buying off forward expectations. And I don't know what those forward expectations are. Like, I read another post saying, people typically look at the next 2 quarters and then price it that way, but it's just not true, right? If there's a development that says, oh, memory usage is going to go down by 90% and it's probably going to start shipping in 2028, this stuff will nuke. Even though 2027 earnings will be good, they're just like, well, the future of it is fucked, right? So, and then it does end up being the top of the cycle. So, it's a tricky one because I'm just the most bullish person on AI, but are these still a good proxy for the AI trade? That story is changing, and it wasn't that they were a good proxy, it was that there were bottlenecks, and AI can still go crazy and demand can still outweigh supply materially, but if the bottlenecks are addressed or fixed or improved or whatever it is, it changes the story, I think, there, even if that doesn't come until 2028. So I think on these, I just need lower levels to buy back in, and obviously I fucked up selling them a day or two too early before the rally last week. I'm glad I didn't chase it higher, otherwise I would be down really bad right now, and we're now lower than where I sold on everything, so that makes me feel a little bit happy, even if it didn't time it perfectly. And I think I'm still going to maintain patience, because there's a lot of vol. Oh, not today. This week there's a lot of vol. We also obviously have the FOMC as well. I don't know. Maybe there could be a rate hike this week. I don't know. There is some probability of it. 32% probability of a rate hike is being priced in right now by the market. 69% chance it doesn't happen. So, with the oil selling off and inflation coming in lower, and rates have obviously moved lower in the last 2 days, maybe it would be a bit aggressive to hike rates. I actually think hiking rates would be more bullish for the market. Like if they get this hike out of the way, everything nukes, and then you can buy that dip, and we're sort of like over the worst of it. I think for me, that's a cleaner market narrative compared to if they don't hike, and then everyone's like, oh, is there going to be a hike? Is there going to be a hike? I don't want to add risk until that stuff continues to drift lower. So that's how I'm feeling there. But these are all things I feel like we've discussed over the last few days, and the reasons why I am cautious in stocks. But we're getting to levels, I think, where started nibbling a little bit, but I think still have to be patient before adding. Like the real like all-in level is, if we get back to here, the beginning of April prices. If you could buy there again, I mean, is it all in? Or yeah, probably is. I would be max deployed if we got back to these levels, and I would definitely buy memory stuff, stuff like SpaceX, like momentum names. I would buy all the go momentum names there. And the good thing is you can just buy spot. You don't even need to take leverage. That stuff will move aggressively if it ever bounces. And by the way, if we do get back to here, that's going to feel fucking horrific. It's going to feel absolutely awful to buy this stuff, because it's never like, at this moment in time, it wasn't like, oh, let me just buy all the stuff and we're going to bounce. It's like you're buying this stuff and you're thinking, fuck, how much lower is it going to go? How much more money am I going to lose? So I think, I would imagine, though, you'd have to think there is a relatively strong bid around these levels. You'd have to imagine and hope. Hope that would be the case. So, sorry, I'm a bit tired. Despite I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you can see my Whoop stats on the stream. Comes up under the operator vitals, and I think I got a pretty good sleep last night. I think I got there we go, 86% sleep, 80% recovery. So I shouldn't be tired, but I do feel a bit tired. But I also worked out this morning, so probably why. Yeah. So patience. I think patience. We're still thick in the middle of summer. We've got the last FOMC for summer tomorrow. September is very typically a bearish month. I think just going to find good scalps. Keep trying to find good scalps, like the Google scalp. Yeah, Rekt Energy does fix that, and the sad thing is that I've actually had a Rekt Energy today, and I still feel tired. I may have gotten to the point where I need to double my doses. I may need to double my doses, but for now we just got the old liquidated lime. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay patient, look for scalps. I'll have a look again. I feel like this is kind of like my next scalp, SpaceX, rather than something else, rather than memory, rather than SK Hynix. I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be such a high vol event that I kind of want to do something in it. But it would really be a pure gamble. At least on SpaceX, I kind of have a reason to gamble. It's still a gamble, but at least I can. If someone asks me why are you buying it, I could actually give some reasons for it. If someone asks me why are you taking this position in SK before earnings, I just don't know. I just fancy taking a position, and that's not. I think that's not that good to do that. So discipline. I've just had to stay disciplined. That's what I need to do. Right. Let's talk about crypto. It's kind of been. it feels weak, doesn't it? Crypto does feel weak. Let me see if I can move this so you guys can see the crypto prices. There you go. It feels like we'd outperformed for a long time, and Bitcoin has started to crack a little bit. It's still this. I mean, this is still a massive outperformance versus stocks in, call it, the last 2 months, month even. Obviously, a massive underperformance versus stocks from April, and from this point on as well, from January. So I think there's some school of thought that we get back down to here one more time, or possibly even lower. But I don't, for once, that 48K level, I guess, is the next low point where we got that. When was that? That was just, I remember that summer 2024 pre-Trump. I don't. The thing about crypto is I don't think there's a big liquidation risk on that, like we've had in the past. And people keep talking about MicroStrategy as a risk, but these guys are. I don't like MicroStrategy. Don't get me wrong. I think this is silly, and I think what they've done is very unethical in terms of how they've pushed STRC. But I don't see any blow up risk here. They've got enough cash to cover dividends. They've managed to keep selling MSTR. It's obviously at crazy low levels right now, but to get cash, they sold a bit of Bitcoin to get cash. They've bought some Bitcoin. They've held off from buying Bitcoin. So, but there's no there's no liquidation risk here, right? There's no credit event. The only credit event would be, I believe, September 2027, when they have $1 billion worth of bonds that are puttable. It's like if a bond is you can get puttable bonds, which is debt, but the lenders have the option to sell it back to the borrower at par. And I'm guessing those trade well below par. They must trade in the 70s or 80s or something like that. So I wonder if I can pull that up here, actually. MSTR Corp. Let's see. Yeah, so they have bonds that mature in 2029 that I believe are puttable in September 2027. And they trade at $89. So obviously they're going to get put. And the fact that they trade at $89 kind of tells you this is not just, it's high yield, it's not distressed. It yields 6.6%. That's a high. This is a high yield bond, not a distressed bond. So, I think if there was like a real risk of a credit event on MSTR, these bonds would be trading like in the 50s or the 60s or possibly even below that, right? They're trading in the 80s and the 90s. They have some bonds that trade above par as well. I don't know why these trade so far above par. They must have big coupons, I guess. But yeah, like nothing in the structure is telling you there's a near-term credit event, and I don't think there is one. I think possibly there could be a credit event in September 2027. That is a long time away. They could very easily sell some Bitcoin ahead of it. They have so much time, more than a year, to prepare for that. It's not that hard for them to get $1 billion worth of cash. Like they've sold that much worth of stuff over the last few months. So I don't think it's a risk. I don't think it's a risk that it's going to blow up. So for crypto, I don't know what causes that big crash down to the 50s or the 40s, unless there's something, some black swan thing that I'm not aware of. I don't know what causes it, and I think we're more likely to just chop in this area for a long time. Possibly we have another break lower if the markets are, if stocks really puke, if stocks get back to April levels, and we are looking at Bitcoin in the 50s, I think. So But I just think it will outperform. I think it will continue to outperform, and I think the stuff that I'm seeing in just general crypto degen land right now, where shit's moving aggressively, there's interesting narratives, people are getting engaged again, people are making money again, which is the most important thing. That to me all tells me it's early signs of a bull market. And when you're in an early bull market, that's not always the best time to make money per se, but it's certainly the best time to. It's one of the best times to get positioned, but what it really, really, truly is the best time for is to trading. When you trade something and you just make a decision, you do it based off of conscious information and also subconscious information. But the subconscious information, i.e. your gut, I think is really important. And that doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from building up a subconscious database of things that you've seen, patterns that you've seen, trends that you've seen, narratives that you've seen over time. And so the more, theoretically, the more data, you think about an AI model, right? The more data you capture and ingest, the better you should be at making those decisions. So I think times like these are the best times to just be really involved and locked in and stuff, because it will help you make better decisions when it is a raging bull. And then without that, you either won't have the confidence to go all in on the thing that is a no-brainer, or you may have too much confidence and go all in on the thing that is going to go to zero. So I think it's really important. And to me, I'm definitely taking note of stuff. Now, I think for me, it's hard to, I can't just sit and watch stuff. I kind of have to trade it. I have to be involved. Otherwise, I don't get a sense of it. You know what I mean? And you also have to take risk on stuff, because if you lost money on X or if you made money on Y, that feeling for you is much stronger and more impactful. And I think you have to, those feelings are important because they also build up as inputs to your decision making. So I think it's, I'm not saying to everyone gamble on size now because you'll make money in the future, but I think even if it's small just trading stuff around here, I think is really important. I still think that's really important because it will help us make better decisions for when the time comes. Next thing I wanted to talk about PONS. It's still that's still the only real, that and Rekt, the only two crypto things I have in my book. This, look, the stuff that came out yesterday, you have something called Rialto. I don't know if this works. Rialto. This is a Robinhood ecosystem partner, and that's why I think people are so attentive to what these guys are doing. There was a, I can't find it, but there was a Robinhood crypto post. They listed a load of partners. Here, we're excited to be a Robinhood chain launch partner. That was definitely verified by a Robinhood post. So, this is probably the only Robinhood ecosystem partner that no one's ever heard of. And I think people have been, maybe there'll be a coin at some stage. People are farming that by trading on it. You can trade stocks on it. They launched a launchpad yesterday called Varo, and I think this is one of the reasons why PONS sold off initially. Look, you can look at this website. I don't know. Yesterday when I looked at this, all these market caps were stated in ETH, or not even ETH, in wrapped ETH. This doesn't seem that good to me. No, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the people who built it or to the Rialto team. I'm just saying this doesn't feel like a platform that's going to displace the thing that's doing most market share right now. Let's move this across a little bit. Like, sure, they're a Robinhood ecosystem partner, fine, but and what? You know what I mean? Who's to say Robinhood don't end up investing in PONS at some stage? if you look at the market share of PONS, it actually grew yesterday. Let's have a look. Wait for this to load. Okay, so, you know, there's still 350K in the treasury. If we look at these momentum numbers, revenue momentum 162%. Momentum is still increasing in terms of the revenue they're generating. The buyback pace has increased. It's 2.3x. I think that was 1.08x before. Inflow coverage has reduced because they've spent a bit more on buybacks. But you know, these are all momentum numbers that are generally increasing. And if you look at market share, whereas market share 75% still. In the last 24 hours, PONS had a 79% market share. So the Varo didn't even scratch it. I need to add Varo to this chart. I will do. Curious to see where they rank on it actually. But I don't know. I mean, if you're worried about something displacing something, then you should expect its market share to drop substantially. And when we had remember when we had the bonk pump fund wars, there would be days when bonk would be 50, 60, 70% market share and pump would be much lower. And that's not the case here. So can that change? Can they improve the platform? Sure. Yes, but each day that passes where people are trying to do that, this community for PONS gets stronger, and it solidifies itself as the number one. Nothing is number one forever, but I think these guys are doing the right stuff. We obviously had the founder Ozzy on yesterday, and it's still cheap. You know, the risk. Here's another way to think about it. By the way, this is where is that multiple here? This trades at 0.7 times multiple versus these guys, right? Versus pump fund, which is 3.3x. So this is on a multiple basis. This is extremely cheap. Now, again, we're annualizing the revenue based off of 2 or 3 weeks of revenue, so that's a risk. And the other risk is that they lose market share. Someone else new comes in. So at the current price, in my opinion, at a 0.7x multiple, the risk of market share of losing market share is already priced in. You know, if this was a 3 times multiple or even a 2 times multiple, then I would say, okay, yeah, it should move lower. So I think, in my opinion, the sophistication of traders on the Robinhood chain is very low. I don't see many people from my timeline who I would say are like really good traders involved with it. And I see a lot of dumb stuff around being posted and not a lot of critical thinking, which is good because it creates an opportunity. You know, you can, I keep saying trading is gambling, and it is, but I think sometimes you have asymmetry of information. Sometimes you have a lack of sophistication in the market where you can come in with some logic and it actually works. And this, because this market's still so small and the highest market cap coin is $40 million on it, you don't have the smarter people involved right now, in my opinion. You don't have all the smart guys involved. You have maybe some of them. And so I think there is an opportunity to actually apply logic like this and make money. And so far it's worked. And I think it can continue to work until the market gets more mature and you have more sophisticated players. And then, you know, it gets harder and harder. But I'm not the only one posting about it. Like, you have obviously Bonk Guy put out a couple of good tweets on it today, which I think are interesting. He's done the analysis as well. You know, people have slightly different numbers and stuff. It depends what period you're looking at, whether it's a 24-hour rolling period, whether it's midnight to midnight. But you know, whether you like or hate this guy, I personally like him. He's made a fuck ton of money in the past, and for me, seeing him in PONS is it feels to me like a bullish thing. So nothing's changed there. I haven't, as you guys will see from my risk, I haven't sold any. I think we are due some consolidation. This thing's been up only for a few days, and when it sells off on news flow like that, it makes you wonder: did it sell off because people really cared about the news, or did it sell off because someone was thinking about selling it anyway, and then they just needed a push off the ledge, and that potentially could have been it. So as long as Robinhood numbers continue to grow, as long as these numbers stay strong, as long as the fees keep coming in and the buybacks keep coming in. And as we heard yesterday, they're launching V2. And the main thing that I think is exciting about V2 is there'll be more income for coins and protocols, and this protocol in ETH or stables rather than just token. And these guys haven't been dumping the tokens they're getting back. So that will actually create more revenue for buybacks, which would be, which is bullish. And I also think something that would be good for this is to see a big runner on PONs, to see a coin go to like 100 mil on PONs and do a ton of volume, because again, that will also generate more activity and revenues, etc. So I think that's my view on this. Unless otherwise proven, it's still a hold for me. And I think my profit targets are still, for now, much higher than where we are here. I would like to see these two numbers compress. If the Robinhood chain starts dying and slows down and etc., then yeah, that's different. But the bet we're taking here is that it doesn't do that, and they keep pushing it. So, and look, I think the real upside or the real kicker on it, which is always a possibility, is that they do something with Robinhood themselves. And Vlad, what did Vlad say? He put this tweet out earlier about Robinhood Venture Fund. Presumably this is a roadshow for raising capital for the fund, but they have a venture arm. They could very easily invest in this. They could be part of it. It's the number one launchpad on Robinhood right now. They have 75% market share, and they have done now for a few days. And the more it cements itself as the leader, the higher the likelihood there is of it being more deeply integrated with Robinhood itself. So that's another thing I think to watch out for, or another kicker to owning it, I think. So hopefully this consolidation ends. I think we've had some quite big ranges here, but it's holding up pretty well, Like I said, we haven't had some crazy blow off top, and that means we haven't had like some crazy drop. It's been able to be relatively stable for a coin that is, in the context of all the things we talk about on the show, this is still a micro cap. I think this is actually pretty encouraging to see. So we stick through it. We stick through it on that. And yeah, kind of it for me today, really. I don't know. Nothing else more to add. I think it's, NASDAQ looks like it's reversed a lot of that big drop. Today, some stocks are up, but I'm still being patient and hoping I get I would love to, I hate to hope for things to go lower, but I would just love to see April levels to buy, because one of the best way, when you're trading these calls and stuff, or you're trading stuff on leverage, it's always fucking like, you're panicking, like, can I sell it in time? Is it going to move higher in time, or am I going to get screwed? You're always worrying about that kind of stuff, but, there's nothing purer than just buying spot stocks, not on leverage, when the entire market has dropped 30, 40, 50, 60, potentially even 70 or 80% on some of these stocks. There is nothing purer than that, and just holding on to it, knowing that it's going to go up at some point. Even if you probably won't catch the bottom, even if you don't, but you just know at some point in time it's going to go higher and you will make money. And if you don't need that liquidity today, it's fine. So I hope we get another one of those opportunities, and you will see my book go all in on that stuff. But it will remain to be seen, and you never really know if you do get it. So it's important, I think, to DCA and leverage lower. But yeah, that's it. If anyone has questions, or points, happy to talk about stuff. Let me see if there are any comments in the chat. Have I dabbled with FWA? Have any thoughts on it? I did a little bit. The trade really was to, at the beginning, spin. I think when you were spinning, you would take like a, whatever it was, 50 or 60% haircut. So you pay more than the dollar value of the FWA you got back for it. But, well, maybe I need a second can of Rekt Energy. But I started doing it when it was at like a 7 mil market cap, and then I just didn't really persist. And I guess I could have made good money on that. So I would have lost, call it 60%, but from 7 mil to where did it get to? Like 25, 30. So I would have made a 5x on top of that. So net, I would have made, net, I could have like doubled or tripled my money, I guess. So which is not bad, but I kind of, at that time, it felt a bit, just felt like you were burning money. It felt a bit risky. I think it's not one for me to build a position in. I think, similar to MicroStrategy, I think these things can get a lot of hype, and then you move on to the next one, right? And my guess is something like that happens here. I think I don't like things where people speak in hyperbole. So I don't like things when people are like, this is going to change the world. This is going to be game changing. This is going to change NFTs forever. This is going to change Ethereum forever. Like, and maybe some of it is a meme. I don't know. It possibly is a meme, and I'm just a boomer. But I don't like that type of hyperbole, and I feel like we saw the same with previous projects similar to this, and then they just die, and the same guys say the same thing again, and they're probably the same guys who are also selling on your heads at the same time as tweeting it. So it's just, I think it's a really interesting experiment. I think it's incredible. I think Adam is probably one of the most talented builders and developers out there, and if you get in at the right time and understand it quickly, you can make good money for it. So on it, but I feel like I missed that, and it's not the type of coin that I can put into my portfolio, I think, and hold for a long time. And I'm just not good at trading these types of projects and understanding what's going to drive it to go higher or lower. So I'm setting it out. If I had to take a guess, my guess is once the open market buys are turned on, it goes higher. That would be my guess, because I think two things. I think number one, obviously anyone who wants to buy it and just can't be bothered to spin can go out there and buy it. Number two, the ownership of it looks quite concentrated. If you look through the holders list, it's a bunch of rich NFT people. So these guys can also, if I was one of those guys, I'd be like, cool, let me just fucking buy another 250k of this. It will probably squeeze the fuck higher and then exit the position. So I think you could see an initial pump, and people will probably look at where MicroStrategy got to, which was about 250 mil, and compare that as a target. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this went a lot higher after stuff got turned on. But again, it's not for me. I just don't feel like it's a trade for me. So that's my thoughts on that. I'm sure people out there have made a ton of money on it, and I'm sure people out there will make more money on it. What's the workout measurement these days? Good question. I've had a really good year of staying healthy to the point where my Whoop age, where are we at now? I've had quite a good run here, actually. Oh, this camera doesn't focus, does it? My Whoop age is 32.3, so that's 4.4 years younger, and I think I started the year slightly above my Whoop age was slightly above my real age. Although part of that I think is due to Whoop changing their calculations for strength, and if you do high intensity interval stuff, which is what I do, you can actually put in the exercises and then it counts for strength, which it didn't do in the past. So but yeah, I'm not, to be honest with you, like last week I only worked out once in the week, just haven't had time. This week I did some boxing this morning, and I'm going to hopefully try and go for a run, I think, later in the week. But just with a couple of life events, plus I think a lot of time has gone into Rekt Mkts, and that time's freeing up a bit more. But when you're just trying to release something and launch something, and how quickly or soon you can launch it is fully correlated to how much time you put into it. So if I stay up until 2 a.m., that puts us closer to a launch than if I go to bed at 8 p.m. or whatever. So I definitely I've had a few late nights working on Rekt Markets, but I feel like we've got to a stage now where stuff is working. Adding more features can be done in the day, or I can leave the agents working on it overnight, and hopefully that means I can maybe find time to go for a run this week and scale the workouts back up to 3 or 4 times a week for me, which is all I really need, to be honest with you. I don't think I need much more than that. Any estimates for the Rekt Markets WAP subscription opening? I spoke to Tabs. I asked Tabs on it last night, and we were thinking possibly this week. So let's see. I think stuff is quite stable on the website now. To be honest with you, I don't even know how. I'm curious how many. I guess I can see the views and the stats, but I feel like the Discord is the main value of it, and the posts that I put in are the main value of it, and the website has tools, but I kind of think I'm the one using those tools, and I post my interpretation of those outputs into the Discord is probably the main value. So I don't know how much people are looking at the website and stuff, but I still would like to get it up and working, get everything fully stable, which it is now, but I think there are more features we can add for sure. So, but soon, I'd like to open up monthly subscriptions soon. How was the stag party? It was good. I was worried. I'm not really like a big drinker anymore, and I was worried about having to do 2 big nights, and I was actually in bed by 1 a.m. on both nights, which for me felt like a massive win. I think that's really is a sign of my age, when you actually are happy about being in bed early. 1 a.m. is not even early, but it was good. It was a good friend of mine. Weddings next weekend. We all had a good time. It's the first stag I've been on, I think, where I think we kind of did. I guess when you get older, the stags are less about doing, less about debauchery and more about like doing nice things. And I think we had a nice dinner. We had a nice Airbnb we stayed at. Some good spots for drinks, etc. So it was very fun, and it wasn't like crazy late night getting smashed kind of stuff, which I kind of wanted to avoid. So on the whole, it was good. Besides markets, any updates on Rekt drink sales? Had a few friends try Rekt Energy. I'm asking for more flavors. Any updates on new flavors for canned Rekt Energy? Sales are up, I would say, in the last 2 weeks versus the week before since we started Rekt Markets. We've definitely had some new customers come in, so that's good. With regard to new energy flavors, we're probably more likely to have new flavors of powders first, I think, before new RTD flavors, I would say. So more likely to have powders first. We're working on a couple of collaborations now as well, that we will be able to announce and get rolled out soon. So it's been going okay. Going okay. It's not. I'm not expecting it to be a game changer in 2 weeks. I think we have 250 members on this platform. We're getting decent views. I think we've gained something like 1,300 followers on Rekt Markets since we started a clean account, and I think we have a lot of people on the wait list. But the overall audience is quite small right now. I think the overall audience can grow a lot, especially in a bull market. In a bull market, you can go from, you can probably 10x your members, right? So I think the idea is, in that bull market, we should see stronger numbers, both for Rekt Markets and also for Rekt Drinks. So it's good to see sales are up, but I'm not, it's a small comparison period. And the reason for this is more a preparation for what's to come rather than seeing an instant result for it. So that's the thoughts on that, basically. I'm living on Rekt Energy these days. Me too. And apparently today it wasn't enough, so I might have to go have a second drink. But generally, and watermelon is also my favorite flavor too, both on the powder and the RTD. Cool. Let's call it a day there. We'll be back again tomorrow. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll chat again soon. Goodbye.